Chapter 18, Welcome back. Zhao Kongqing was stunned. He really did not expect that this ordinary high school student in front of him would say such words and have such mature ideas. Only then did he realize how ridiculous his previous attempt to mobilize the two and hot blood mentality that prevails in the youth was. Lin Chia is not an ordinary senior student. Lin Chia stood up, went straight to the door, hesitated for a moment and stopped. Thank you for telling me so much. The NDA. I'll sign it. Then he opened the door and went out. This time, Zhao Kongqing just sat silently by the bed, standing up slightly as if he wanted to hold him back. After a short pause, he sat back feebly. He knew what this young man meant and he knew he was on a mission to bring him back, but he can't do it. Xiaoqi finally back? Why aren't you wearing your school uniform today? And I got up in a hurry this morning and forgot to wear it. You boy. Won't the teacher scold you if you don't wear your school uniform? Just 2 words. It's okay. Oh, little Seven, you just transferred to a new school. You can't leave a bad impression on the teachers. Do things more carefully. I know, Aunt. How are you getting along with your classmates at school? They didn't exclude you, did they? No, we got along fine and they gave me a ride home and I gave them a ride. Skid. Skid. I'm going to my room, Auntie. I'll go to bed early. Thunk. Lin Chia closed the door, lay on his back in bed, looked out the window of the night and sighed long. The world was more complicated than he thought. Well, it doesn't have much to do with him. After resting for a while, Lin sat up and just began to take off his clothes when a hard object fell out of his pocket. Clank clank. Lin Chia lowered his head and picked up the thing and doubts emerged between his brow. It was a metal ornament like a coat of arms about a circle larger than a dollar coin, made of an unknown material with a faint coolness when it was picked up. On the front of this coat of arms, 2 straight knives crisscrossed. The blade body exudes a pale blue shimmer. The background behind the knife is a night sky dotted with stars. Workmanship is extremely exquisite. At the bottom of the pattern there are 3 small characters, Zhao Kongqing. This is Lin Chia's eyes narrowed slightly. Lin Chia recalled that Zhao Kongqing had just dragged himself to the hotel in the process, and seemed to touch his pocket. He accidentally lost it? Lin Chia played with the coat of arms. The coat of arms turned over one side on the back, engraved with a few lines of small words. If a dark night comes, I shall stand before 10,000. Cross the knife to the deep. Blood in the sky. Good Spirit Zhao Kongqing wrote this himself? Or the words of their night's watch? Lin Seven Knights mumbling, look at him look dull, does not seem to be able to write this kind of people all. After playing for a while, Lin Chia put it on the table, changed his clothes and climbed into bed. Tonight he has a very important thing to do. He closed his eyes and sank his consciousness into the mental hospital of the gods. Now in the small courtyard of the psychiatric hospital, Nix is sitting in a rocking chair with a pile of bottles and cans, and seems to whisper something and a smile breaks into his mouth. If you ignore the cloud of her eyes and the strange things, just because of the noble temperament of her hands and feet, this will be a beautiful picture. Soon after, Lin Chia, dressed in a white coat, walked slowly. In order to better play the role of a psychiatrist, Lin Chia specially found a white coat in the president's office, and even put a pair of plain glasses on his collar. At first glance it does look like that. Lin Chia walked over to the rocking chair and silently looked into Nix's dull eyes and sighed. From the mythological books he read, Nix was indeed one of the oldest and most powerful gods in Greek mythology, and his status and power were at the top. But compared to the other gods, she has one great characteristic. Love having babies. According to the statistics of Lin Seven Knights, there are at least 20 children of Nix, including the famous death Danados, the sleep god Hypnos, and the space god, the goddess of fate, the god of doom, and so on. With the exception of a very few, most of the children of Nix were evil gods, and after their birth they brought evil to the world, and there were not a few gods who fell to a tragic end. From the fragments of the fairy tale, Lin Seven Knights cannot get more detailed information about the night goddess, but he speculated that Nix's current illness may have something to do with her children. The doctor at Sunshine Psychiatric Hospital said there was a man who missed his wife so much that he imagined her beside him. Is that what happened with Nix? You miss your kids so much you think they're her kids? But what happened to her offspring? To elicit such a violent reaction from Nix? And as an ancient god with a divine nature, can it really have such strong emotions? Or to say that before she got sick she was stripped of her body, stripped of her divinity? Lin Seven Knights do not know. Chopness, don't worry, your brother will be back soon, he's just having fun. This Danada's kid, he's been a troublemaker since he was a kid, and when he gets back he's gonna have a good time. Nyx stroked the vase in his hand and stared dully into the distance, a gleam of hope in his eyes, then a cloud. There was a pause, a slight quiver in her husky voice. Wait. 3,000 years, why hasn't he come back? Lin 7 Nights looking at this scene, I do not know why, the heart up a sour. Who would have thought that the night goddess who was once high on the sky is now so helpless and humble? She is the goddess of the night and a mother waiting for her child to return. If we want to cure her disease, we have to go to the root cause. Lin 7 Nights' mind again echoed the doctor's words. He bowed his head trying to think. Root of Nyx's illness is the child she lost. If you want to cure her, you can only start with her children, but you know that her children are famous Greek gods. You can't go to find them one by one and bring them to Nyx? Can Lin 7 Nights, or even whether they were brought to this world by the fog, is unknown, and where to find so many gods? And even if they did, would the evil gods really follow them? Lin 7 Nights frowning, thinking. Just then a flash of light from his mind. Perhaps is this gonna work? Lin 7 Nights stood up, looked at Nyx for a long time, and finally made up his mind to move forward. In Nyx's dull eyes, Lin Chia walked to her step by step. Squat down gently. Put his arms around Nyx. Whisper in her ear. Mother, I'm home. At this moment, Nyx's eyes suddenly lit up like never before. Trembling, she stretched out her hands, tightly hugged Lin Chia, and after a long time she spoke a complete sentence. Welcome back, Danadas, my boy. Chapter 19, The Starry Night Dancer. At the moment Nyx said this sentence, a virtual panel appeared out of thin air in Lin Chia's eyes. Nyx treatment progress, 3%. Having met the reward acquisition criteria, start randomly drawing Nyx psychic abilities. Then a virtual lottery wheel emerged and began to spin rapidly. Lin Chia can see that there are at least 20 areas divided on this turntable, and the area of each area is basically the same, that is to say, the probability of his extraction of these psychic abilities is the same. The night sky came, the dark eye, the fall of 1,000 stars, the split astrology, the night flicker, the night family, extraordinary fertility. The ability of the rotating turntable to see the Lin 7 Nights dazzled, but he always felt that there seemed to be something strange mixed in. What the hell is super fertility? Is that a psychic power? If you draw this ability, don't even need to find a wife, you can give birth to a bunch of gods. That doesn't sound too bad. At the same time, Lin Chia noticed that in a certain corner of this turntable, there was a narrow black area that was different from other capabilities, accounting for about 1% of the total area. The name of this divinity power is unknown. Unknown? What does that mean? But it doesn't matter, Lin 7 Nights believe that with their own fucking luck, let him draw 1,000 times estimated that they can't draw the unknown. Lin 7 Nights took a deep breath, staring at the front of the turntable. The heart thought the turntable began to slow down. The pointer moves across the ability one by one, and finally stays on an area of ability. Star Dancer. Lin 7 Nights see these words, helpless sigh. From the name, this ability is a lot worse than some split star falling 1,000 stars, but it's okay. It's not super fertility. Well, that's my luck. The moment the pointer stopped, the turntable in front of Lin Chia gradually dissipated, only the 4 words of the Starry Night Dancer quietly hovering in the air. The color is more and more profound. Lin Chia reached out his hand and held it. Then the 4 words turned into a black light, into the Lin 7 Nights of the body. Lin Chia only felt that a mysterious energy was rapidly transforming his body, and the whole person from soul to body seemed to be washed in general, unusually comfortable. It's an amazing feeling. This state lasted for about 5 seconds, and after it completely dissipated, Lin Chia clearly felt that his body was different. Before his eyes, a few other small lines slowly appeared. Starry Night Dancers. In the dark, your speed, strength, durability, and resilience are 5 times as high as usual. In the dark, your presence is not easily perceived. In the dark, you are more intimidating to other creatures. You have the ability to communicate with other nocturnal animals. Lin 7 Nights see this, cannot help but gasp a breath. This seems to force the ability is not high, it seems to be unusually strong. If nothing else, the speed, strength, durability of 5 times the usual is a pervert. Even with his ordinary physical quality, as long as he goes to participate in what triathlon at night, it is absolutely no problem in the Guinness World Records. With a 5-fold bonus, it puts his body right up against the limits of humanity. This is only in the case of his own quality ordinary. If through systematic training, Lin Chia dare not imagine what kind of point they will grow up to. Not to mention the stealth behind it and the ability to communicate with nocturnal animals, which is completely beyond the realm of humans. Lin's 7 Knights hold down the inner excitement, take a deep breath. It is true that he did not join the idea of the Night's Watch and he did not want to fight the mythical creatures, but he was still a student, and it was impossible to say that he did not have a vision of the supernatural. Besides, only when you become stronger, can you better protect your family. Lin's 7 Knights finally settled down. The eyes fell on the front of the Nyx body. Nyx was looking at him tenderly, stroking his hair with his hand and whispering to himself, "Danadas, where have you been for 3,000 years? Do you have any idea how much I miss you?" Lin's 7 Knights silently sitting there, looking at Nyx's eyes are full of complexity. As he guessed, for the present Nyx, she can't even distinguish her own child from the vase. How can she recognize that Lin Chia is not her child? She was sick of missing and imagined everything around her as her own children, but after all, those bottles and cans aren't real people and they don't respond to Nyx. Therefore, when Lin's 7 Knights this will breathe, will move, will call the mother of the person appeared, Nyx like to come to life, finally found their own spiritual sustenance. This is the first step to get her to open up, and it is also the reason why the treatment progress has jumped directly to 3%. Danadas, do you have any idea how much your brother misses you? Give him a hug. Nyx smiled and held the vase in front of Lin Chia. Lin Chia. Helpless, Lin's 7 Knights can only take the vase, pretend to touch up. Just then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught sight of Nyx's bosom and saw his other brothers and sisters. The whole body shuddered. In Nyx's arms were several labeled jars of different colors. On the label of one bottle, Lin Chia clearly saw a line of large characters. Haloperidol, divine. Lin's 7 Knights dead staring at it, mouth more and more open. Haloperidol. Why does that name look familiar? Isn't that one of the medications that the fucking psychiatrist gave him during the day? And then there are 2 words. For divine use. At this moment, Lin Chia is like thinking of something, the whole person suddenly excited. He handed Nyx the vase and said hastily, "I'll be right back." Then like a gust of wind, he climbed the 2nd floor of the asylum and found a room at the end of the stairs. The drug storage room. The door of the room was open. Nyx must have come in before, or he would not have taken so many of his brothers and sisters. Lin Chia walked quickly into it, searched for a while and finally stopped in front of a huge metal cabinet, and the light of his eyes became brighter. In front of him was a whole wall of drugs. There are a lot of different kinds of drugs and most of them are used for psychiatric treatment, including haloperidol, chlorpromazine and so on, which he just saw, and a lot of tranquilizers. At the end of each of these drugs, there are 2 words added. God use. Lin Chia's mouth appeared to smile. He should have thought of it. Here is a mental hospital for the treatment of the gods. Since it is a hospital, naturally there are rooms for the storage of drugs, and the drugs inside are special drugs for the body of the gods. He could not bring the medicine of reality to the hospital, but he could find the corresponding medicine of God here. This makes things seem a lot easier. Lin's 7 Knights picked a few bottles of medicine listed by the doctor during the day, ran downstairs to Nyx's side. This is 2 pills once a day. And this is 1 pill 3 times a day. Remember to eat. Nyx looked intently at Lin Chia as if he had a flower on his face, and seemed not to hear Lin Chia's words at all. You know what? I'll feed you every day. Lin's 7 Knights looked at Nyx. This reaction, helpless sigh. It's kind of hard for a psychopath to remember to take her own medication. Hearing Lin Chia's words, Nyx's face suddenly burst into a smile. She smiled happily. Chapter 20. I'm all right. Lin's 7 Knights to Nyx. After feeding the medicine, he withdrew from the mind, gradually sank into the dream. This time he did not have that tiresome knocking dream, and since the Ragnarok Asylum had joined him, he seemed to be completely free from the bondage of that dream and to have real sleep. He had a good dream. He dreamed that he was admitted to university, career success with Aunt and Yang Jin lived in a big house. He dreamed that the 3 people in the family were finally able to go out to travel, to see those only seen on TV mountains and water. Because he was physically disabled before and the family expenses were tense, there was no extra money. The 17 years Lin's 7 Knights let alone travel, even Songnan City has not been out. Deep down he still yearns for the outside world. When the alarm clock sounded, Lin's 7 Knights this only reluctantly got up, changed clothes ready to go to school. As soon as he opened the door, he saw his aunt hurrying to change her shoes and get ready to go out. "Auntie, why do you have to go to work so early? The factory has a batch of new parts. We should hurry processing." Aunt left first. "You continue to have breakfast with your brother. Remember not to be late." Aunt read aloud. Yes. The aunt is about to close the door of the moment. Lin's 7 nights open again. "Auntie, what's the matter?" Aunt stopped, puzzled to look at Lin's 7 nights. The absence of it's nothing. Lin Chia hesitated for a moment, shook his head, the corners of his mouth appeared a smile. "Waiting for you to come back. I tell you a good news." Aunt puzzled to see him, a few eyes, laughing and scolding. "This child, but also with me in this charade." That line, "Aunt is in a hurry now, tell me at night." Then she hurriedly closed the door and ran downstairs, kicking. Lin Chia stood silently at the door with his head down, wondering what he was thinking. Suddenly he raised his head abruptly as if with some resolution, and opened the door in his slippers. He was standing at the entrance to the building, shouting down the stairs. "Auntie, I can see." The next moment, Lin Chia heard the kicking downstairs suddenly stopped, and then the aunt's voice from the 5th floor below trembling up. You say that again." "I can see. I'm all right. Auntie." After a short pause, a more hurried upstairs sound than downstairs came from below, and before long, the breathless aunt stood in front of Lin Chia. Her lips trembled slightly, but the corners of her mouth rose uncontrollably. "Can you see? Really?" "I do." "Is it fuzzy? Is there a double shadow? Does it hurt? Does the light sting?" "Oh, not at all, Auntie." Lin Chia, mouth up, hand unwrapped the black satin on the eyes. A pair of extremely beautiful eyes slowly opened. "I really good, Aunt." Aunt looked at the eyes. Tears cannot control from the eyes gushing out. She smiled, the wrinkles on her face blossomed like flowers, and in her 40s she smiled like a child. 10 years, Lin Chia has never seen her smile like this. Aunt will Lin 7 nights into the bosom. Lin 7 nights can clearly feel her body in a slight tremor. Our family 7 finally survived. Aunt loosened Lin 7 nights, wiped the tears, smiled and said, "Shao 7 ah, Aunt should go to work. Aunt comes back tonight to buy more food, must have a good celebration." "Thank you, Auntie." "Well, Auntie's gone. You go to school." My aunt walked quickly down the stairs, tears still rolling down her cheeks uncontrollably. She wiped her face and walked more briskly than ever. Lin 7 nights to see aunt leave, eyes red, turned into the house. In fact, he originally wanted to wait for his aunt to come back in the evening before formally announcing this matter. But he also thought that people who put up such a flag in the movie generally do not end well. He did not want anything to happen to his aunt. Even if it was just inexplicable metaphysical logic, he would not risk it. So he simply pulled the flag out, tore it up and threw it into the Pacific Ocean. As soon as Lin turned around, he saw Yang Jin standing behind him with his eyes red. The brothers looked at each other for 2 seconds and laughed at the same time. "Brother, congratulations. Well, now the sunglasses you gave me can finally be put to use." Lin Chia stroked Yang Jin's head and said with a chuckle, "Let's eat, brother. We'll eat tonight when aunt comes back." "Yes." Little black toady from Yang Jin's arms out of his head, licked Lin Chia's hand. "Wong." "Ew." When Lin Chia walked into the classroom, the whole class was quiet. Those students stared at the confusion for a while before someone tentatively spoke. "Are you 7 nights, Lin?" Removed the black satin forest 7 nights raised eyebrows, slightly gnawed. After a short silence, the classroom became noisy again, and the discussion was more lively than before. "Is his eye all right?" "Must be good. He can see now." "What beautiful eyes he has." Yeah, why didn't I notice before? He's so handsome." Those girls look at Lin Chia's eyes have changed. They gathered together, mumbling say what, eyes from time to time glance at Lin Chia. Close to Lin Chia boys also came to Lin Chia's side, asked him a bunch of questions about the eyes. When the confirmation of Lin Chia really recovered, are very surprised. "I can see but I can't see out of my eyes, but I went to the hospital yesterday and I was fine." Lin answered 7 nights. The students then remembered that Lin Chia was indeed absent from work for a day yesterday and suddenly realized. In this noisy classroom only 2 people acted out of place. Lu Yuan bowed his head in the corner, glancing at Lin Chia with peripheral vision. His face was embarrassed. He clearly remembers that he was busy running for his life that day. Hard hit Lin Chia. Until after the escape was born, he felt that Lin Chia, the blind man, could not escape from the monster, although he felt guilty for a while, but he did not pay much attention to it. But what he didn't expect was that Jiang Qian died, and the forest's 7 nights that he was least optimistic about. He survived. And my eyes are fine. For a while Lu Yuan himself cannot tell what his mood is, embarrassing, guilty, frustrated, or ashamed. Although Lin Chia turned his back to Lu Yuan, but the other side's wonderful expression changes were clearly perceived by the spirit. His eyes gradually narrowed. Just then another person walked in front of Lin Chia. Li Yifei is helpless standing at the table of Lin Chia. The expression is a little embarrassed. He looked around a circle low in Lin Chia's ear said. 7 nights that. Can you come out with me for a second? There's something I want to say. Lin Chia only hesitated a little and nodded his head. Chapter 21 I'm sorry out the hallway. I'm sorry 7 nights. I'm really sorry. Li Yifei stood there head down kept admitting mistakes I was too afraid I did not think so much I ran directly. I left you and Jiang Qian in the same place and I hurt her. I don't expect you to forgive me but after all we are classmates I still hope to apologize to you. I'm sorry. Li Yifei dare not look at Lin Chia's eyes, but his words are very sincere. Wait until he finished, Lin Chia slowly spoke. It's human nature to run for your life. It's okay. Lin Chia patted him on the shoulder and if it were me at that time, I would only run faster than you. Li Yifei. Li Yifei scratched his head and seemed to think of something. By the way, did you also sign the confidentiality agreement? Lin 7 nights alone, after a moment of hesitation, nodded. It seems that Zhao Kongqing did not cheat him. They really will not witness how Li Yifei that night escaped from the hands of the monster. After they were found to sign a confidentiality agreement, it is also a matter of course. If he's right that Lu Yuan signed the same deal. Although he has not yet signed but this is also a matter of time if now with Li Yifei said he has not signed, but it is not good to explain. Actually, even if they wouldn't let me sign it I wouldn't say anything. Li Yifei sighed that picture I don't want to remember again in my life. Not to mention signing a deal and going to jail if I break it and I don't want to bury my life. Li Yifei put his hands on the railing of the corridor and looked down at the bustling campus with a vision in his eyes. Actually, I wish I could join them. Lin 7 nights surprised to open. You want to join them? Yeah, I mentioned it when I signed the agreement that I would give up my studies to join them, but unfortunately, they don't want me. Why do you want to join? Your grades are not so good, but aren't you about to be admitted to the sports institute? How boring it is to be a sports student. Oh, I should say. So boring to be normal. Li Yifei's eyes gradually lit up. Join a mysterious and powerful organization. Silently fight with the enemy hidden in human society. Make countless achievements. Wait until the day when all this surfaces. The world will remember my name. Li Yifei's fist gradually clenched, excitedly said. This is how many men's dream. This is a meaningful life. You think so beautifully. Lin 7 nights ruthlessly broke his fantasy. Maybe you will be sacrificed in the first task. Be bitten into 8 pieces by monsters. Be buried in the mountains. Your parents may not be able to learn of your death. You can only leave this world alone. Li Yifei. 7 nights. Isn't your imagination too bloody? It's not imagination. Lin 7 nights shaking his head. You just said those, is. Li Yifei helpless sigh. Anyway, they don't want me. I don't need to think so much as long as the secret to be honest into the coffin. Lin 7 nights looked at the time to go back immediately in class. 2 people walk back to the classroom. Lin Chia can feel compared with before Li Yifei's state obviously relaxed a lot. It seems that he for Lin Chia and Jiang Qian guilt, indeed brought him great pressure. The same escape, Li Yifei and Lu Yuan, is a completely different choice. For Lu Yuan, Lin Chia is not interested in specially looking for his trouble, but later if there is a chance he does not mind giving him a lesson by the way. After a day of classes, Lin Chia picked up his school bag and headed home. The death of Wang Xiao and Jiang Qian 2 days ago brought a lot of trouble to the school, and the school could only cancel the self-study system under pressure and let the students go home early. But what Lin Chia did not expect is that the authority of the night watchman seems really high. Generally speaking, after the death of 2 students like Lin Chia and Li Yifei who had walked with the deceased, will inevitably accept the police. But 2 days after the incident no one came looking for them. The night watchmen it seems have taken over the case completely, and their authority is high enough to keep the local police quiet. Walking, the sky gradually darkened down, the patter of light rain fell. But at 6 o'clock the sky was already dark. Lin 7 nights frowned. He did not take an umbrella, can only stride towards home. Rain more and more when Lin Chia hurried home has become a drowned chicken, but he just opened the door, a strong flavor of vegetables on the face, poured out all the negative emotions in his heart. Why did you? 7 You little boy, why are you here like this? In the kitchen busy Aunt C. Lin 7 Nights this look quickly came forward. It's a little big outside. I didn't bring my umbrella today. Lin Chia smiled. Without an umbrella, find a place to hide or call your aunt to pick you up their own shower back in case of a cold? Aunt feigned anger. Lin 7 Nights happily scratched his head, did not speak. Go clean up. Oh, by the way, your teacher came to see you. I told him to wait in your room. My aunt seemed to remember something. Teacher? Lin was stunned for 7 nights. Yes, it is your PE teacher, said to find you something. Hurry to meet the other person, don't let the teacher wait long. Lin 7 Nights with a towel at a loss to wipe hair. What the hell? The gym teacher came to see him? He's only been out of school for a few days. He's never even taken gym class. Why? Is it possible that? Lin 7 Night flashed an idea in his mind, dropped the towel, hurriedly opened the door into his room. I saw a familiar middle-aged man leaning back in a chair, holding a teacup, smiling at him. Lin 7 Nights frowned slightly. Is you? How did you find my house? Zhao Kongqing smiled, picked up the coat of arms on the table, shook it. Since you dumped me that night, I have grown a heart. Threw this thing into your pocket last night, it can locate. Lin Chia locked the door, went straight to the bed and sat down. I said I will not join you. I know. That's why I'm not here. So you're here to sign a non-disclosure agreement? Not really. Zhao Kongqing shook his head. I have reported to the others that you have disappeared. Since I have decided to let you go, I cannot let you sign the agreement. Otherwise they know that you are not missing, they will send others to the door to lobby. They. Not as easy to kill as I am. Lin 7 Nights alone than you are too. Zhao Kongqing took out a roll of craft paper from his pocket, put it on Lin Chia's table and slowly opened it. The Night's Watch pays better than you think, and after all these years of work I still have a lot of savings. Zhao Kongqing opened the craft paper while rambling on. When the craft paper opened the moment Lin Chia's eyes set. Inside a thick wad of money. Chapter 22, General Zhao. Lin Chia frowned. What do you mean by this? Zhao Kongqing smiled and calmly took out a cigarette from his pocket. Do you mind? Whined. Mr. Zhao. Zhao Kongqing helplessly put away the cigarette. Leaning against the back of the chair, his eyes emerge a touch of memory. When I was young I was just like you. To be honest, this opening is a little cliched. It's okay. Go on. My father died of an illness when I was 6 and my mother worked 2 jobs to raise me. Zhao Kongqing's hand rubbed against the cigarette box and his voice was very calm. The pace of that era was very slow. At that time my mother's expectation of me was to finish junior high school, and then come back as a village cadre, marry a young daughter-in-law, give birth to a few children and live a happy life together. You know, teenagers, they always have a rebellious phase. When I graduated from junior high school my grades were good. If I went back to be a village cadre it was not difficult, but I ignored her opposition and resolutely went to be a soldier. In fact, she did not object but seemed a little unhappy. The day I left home she stood at the door just silently looking at me. I walked to the back of the house on the road. She was looking at me. I walked to the village gate. She was still looking at me. Then I walked to the station in the city, couldn't let go, sneaked back to have a look. Found her still standing there looking at the direction I went, in a daze. To tell you the truth, at that time I really thought about staying and not going, but in the end I was cruel and became a soldier. Zhao Kongqing sighed and continued. Later my rank rose higher and higher and I entered the special forces, and because I was good at close combat I was transferred to the night watch. After that I also went home during the holidays to visit my mother, only to find that. Zhao Kongqing said this suddenly stopped. Lin Chia opened his mouth carefully. Your mother passed away. No, she remarried. Lin Chia. When my mother was young she was too tired to work, and she was tired and she wanted me to go back to the village as a cadre so as to take care of her, but at that time I did not think of this layer and chose to be a soldier. Later she could not survive alone so she married. At least there was someone to take care of her when she was old. Unfortunately, I was already in the Night's Watch and could not stay with her long enough to support her. To be honest, I was really relieved to hear that she had married. Lin Chia thought for a moment. So what is the purpose of you telling me this? Zhao Kongqing slowly stood up and looked into Lin Chia's eyes. We all have cherished things, but as we grow up, we will subconsciously ignore their existence because of habits, and turn to other things to attract all the attention. I was like that, but you are different, Lin Chia. You're smarter than me, you know better than me, you have your own ideas, you want to stay with your family and be there for them. That's really good. Now that you've chosen this path, follow it. Just leave it to us people to guard the world. He turned to pick up the craft paper on the table and passed it to the front of Lin's 7 Knights. I just met your aunt. In this era there are really not many people like this. I know the situation of your family now, you can take this money. Lin Chia without the slightest hesitation, I don't want. I'm a watchman and I don't want money. Then neither do I. I gave it to your aunt, you must have it. My aunt wouldn't want it either. Zhao Kongqing mouth slightly twitching and Lin's 7 Knights look at each other for a long time who will not give in. After a while Zhao Kongqing spoke again, Lin Chia, I am too old to see what happened to me happen again before my eyes, even to someone else. Then you can close your eyes and not look. Lin Chia's attitude is very determined. Although our family is poor but also has its own bottom line military money, I will not want. Besides, my eyes are fine, I have the ability, I will not let regret happen. Zhao Kongqing opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he said nothing, only a bitter smile. Won't it smell good if you take this money back to your wife and children? Lin's 7 Knights open again. As I said, the Night's Watch welfare system is very good, and even if I die on the battlefield, my wife and children will have enough food and clothing for the rest of their lives, and they will go to a good university and have a bright future. Zhao Kongqing really cannot convince Lin's 7 Knights, can only put the cowhide bag back. Don't you have any dreams of your own? Pai dream. Zhao Kongqing sat back in his chair, eyebrows raised. My dream indeed I have had since childhood. What is it? Be a general in the army. And then hanging on the chest of the dazzling metal, wearing military uniforms back to the village so that those who look down on my mother know that my mother's son. A general. Zhao Kongqing's eyes appeared dazzling brilliance. Lin's 7 Knights one startled. I do not know why, looking at the Zhao Kongqing in front of him he seemed to think of Li Yifei. They seem to be the same people. And are you now? No, not even close. Zhao Kongqing said with a bitter smile, and as a night watchman, it is impossible to go out with a medal of merit, this dream. It can only be a dream after all. Lin's 7 Knights silent. Well, in that case I'd better go. Zhao Kongqing stood up, walked to Lin Chia and held out his right hand. I wish you a bright future, Lin Chia. Lin Chia stared at Zhao Kongqing's face, which seemed not so greasy anymore. He stretched out his hands and clasped them together. May you be full of merit someday, General Zhao. Zhao Kongqing smiled and turned to walk out of the house. Wait, your coat of arms. Lin's 7 Knights stopped him, picked up the coat of arms on the table and waved. Zhao Kongqing patted his head. Look at my memory, I almost forgot. This is my life. Zhao Kongqing took the coat of arms, looked at it and seemed to think of something. By the way, did you see the last few words? I see. Well, isn't he handsome? Very handsome. Did you write it? No, it was an oath we took when we entered the Night's Watch. Zhao Kongqing tossed the coat of arms like a coin, caught it firmly and put it in his pocket. But, I love it. Wait a minute. What's wrong now? It's raining hard outside. Take your umbrella. Thanks, I won't return the umbrella. Just take it as if it were a reward for protecting the earth. Interesting, yes, I'm really going. Goodbye. Zhao Kongqing with a black umbrella, open the door and go out. Lin Chia is standing by the window silently watching him leave. In the rain, rubbing the coat of arms between his fingers in his pocket, he whispered. If the dark night comes, I shall stand before 10,000. Cross the knife to the deep. Blood stains the sky. The rain more and more heavy. Zhao Kongqing holding an umbrella calmly sat into the black car, took out a cigarette box from his pocket, ready to enjoy a brief quiet. Just then his headset began to ring. A man's voice came out of it. His hand with the cigarette gave a jerk and his pupils constricted. Chapter 23 Evil Face King. Is your teacher gone? After sending Zhao Kongqing away, Aunt hurried out of the kitchen. Oh, why don't you let him stay and eat dinner before you go? Lin's 7 Knights shook his head. He will have something, will not stay for dinner. What did your teacher say? Nothing. Said it was some kind of sports test specifically to ask about my eyes. This teacher Zhao is really a good man. Also personally to the student's home to ask the situation. By the way, before you come back, he is still in the kitchen to help me wash vegetables. He looks 5 or 3 rough. Did not expect the work is very meticulous. Aunt wiped her apron with her hand. turned off the rumbling range hood and said to Lin Chia, "The food is almost ready. Ask your brother to join us for dinner." Yes. A moment later, a family of 3 will be neatly around the table. The table was fully placed, 7 dishes, color, flavor, let people index finger big move. Scrambled eggs with tomatoes, braised chicken soup, dry-fried green beans, and sweet and sour ribs. Yang Jin looked at a table full of food, swallowed. "Mom, our food how long has not been so rich?" Xiaoqi's eyes are better. "This is a bigger happy event than the Chinese New Year. Of course it must be grand." My aunt said of course. Lin Chia lowered his head, looked at the little black toad who wagged his tail frantically and smiled. "Looks like tonight's gonna be a good night for Toady. It's cheaper." Aunt smiled and stood up before the teacup. "In order to celebrate the recovery of little Seven Eyes, cheers. Bottoms up. Cheers." Under the dark clouds, the twilight light had long since disappeared, as if heaven and earth were covered with a layer of black gauze. Rain fluttering in the wind. Light in the distant city, gorgeous. In this low old neighborhood, a figure in a dark red cloak was running through the rain, carrying a large suitcase in his hand. The rain fell down Zhao Kongqing's cheek, clearly a summer rain, but there is an inexplicable cold. "Are you sure the ghost face is really coming this way?" Zhao Kongqing frowned. In the headset, Wu Xiangnan's voice sounded. "Not sure. 10 minutes ago, our search party found the blood of Ghost Noodle in a nearby sewer network, and based on its movements, it could only be headed to that old neighborhood or downtown. 2 possible destinations? Right. What then? Are we gonna split into 2 teams? In theory, yes, but the flow of people downtown is huge. We cannot easily evacuate the crowd. Once the ghost face in the city center, not only will cause a large number of casualties, but also easily cause panic, so we sent most of the battle force to the city center garrison." "What about the old neighborhood? If the Ghost Noodle King shows up here, everyone here will be in danger. Old residential areas have fewer residents, are more dispersed, and are easier to evacuate than the city center, and even if Ghostface came here, it wouldn't be too much damage, would it?" There is a hint of anger in Zhao Kongqing's voice. "The people living here are also living people." "Zhao, calm down." Wu Xiangnan's voice is extremely serious. "I have never said to give up the old residential area, and now Hong Ying has led people there. Your task is to evacuate the residents of the old residential area, the sooner the better. Also, even if the ghost face does go to your place, do not have a direct conflict with it. The ghost face is not your ability to deal with. If necessary, open the no ring to trap him." Zhao Kongqing slowly unclenched his fist and sighed. "Roger." Although there was some anger in Zhao Kongqing's heart, he knew very well that this was the most correct approach. After all, if the Ghost-Face King really went to the city where the traffic is so dense, just hiding in that dark corner to kill a few people is enough to recover his wounds, and once exposed to the public eye, it will inevitably cause panic. Therefore, the number of people sent to the urban areas will not be too many, and they will only feel that there is not enough. The old residential area here live fewer people, and the distance between each other is far. Even if the Ghost-Face King comes here, it takes time to recover from the injury, and the possibility of exposure is very small. In this case, Wu Xiangnan can also send people to the old residential area has been considered very authentic. Now he must hurry to evacuate the residents of the old residential area. It's a race against time. Zhao Kongqing's figure shuttles in the rain. The speed is surprisingly fast. Falling raindrops hit the suitcase in the hand, bursting into a blossoming crystal water. Not far away in the misty water vapor, the familiar low house became clearer. He just came out of there a few minutes ago. Zhao Kongqing's heart is full of complexity. Calculate the time the family should also start to eat dinner? He remembered sweet and sour ribs, tomatoes and eggs, dry-fried green beans. He washed the green beans, by the way. Fuck, the front foot just played handsome in front of the boy, said to protect the world what to themselves, and now to go up and knock on the door to let them evacuate. Makes me look bad, okay? But now is not the time to worry about face. Zhao Kongqing galloped forward through the rain, but at that moment, a disgusting smell suddenly poured into his nasal cavity. His pupils suddenly constricted and he suddenly stopped walking. Platter. The noise of the rain filled Zhao Kongqing's mind. He carefully and slowly turned his neck, eyes wide, for fear of missing any detail. Then his eyes fell on a manhole cover not far away. The smell is getting stronger. Zhao Kongqing's hand tightly grasped the handle of the suitcase. He took a deep breath, slightly bent down and put the suitcase on the ground. He knew exactly what that stink meant. Report: Watchman Chao Kongqing found the Ghost Noodle King in the old residential area. He turned on his headset and his voice was very calm. As he spoke, he pressed the button on the suitcase. Snap. The suitcase popped open to reveal 3 neat brand new signs inside. Zhao Kongqing will carry the 3 signs, put down one in place and then gallop towards the other side. Almost as soon as Zhao Kongqing finished speaking, Wu Xiangnan's voice sounded on the other side of the headset. Roger. I've ordered the Night's Watch to move to the old quarters, and the red crossovers are on their way, 10 minutes tops. 10 minutes. Zhao, arrange the no-ring airspace and trap it temporarily. Zhao Kongqing put down the second sign, running toward another vertex of the triangle, and helplessly opened his mouth. Shonan, no-ring airspace, is used to hide the battle, not to trap people. It cannot trap the Ghost-Face King for 10 minutes. Rain along the slope of the ground, flowing into the piece of the manhole cover, but suddenly the whole manhole cover violently shivered up. Originally poured into the rain is like a boiling spring, crazy surging outward. Whatever you do, don't fight the ghost face. Wu Xiangnan's voice is obviously anxious. Up. Lao Zhao, the old residential area is so big, Ghost-Face King even out, for a while will not necessarily cause loss. 10 minutes, even if it kills a few people, it won't restore much strength. Mysterious civilian casualties are happening all the time. We watchmen are not gods, cannot prevent all the casualties, and if a serious Ghost-Face King lost a core team, this is absolutely not worth the loss. Lao Zhao, can you hear me? Bang. The manhole cover was like a cannonball, shot up into the sky, the dark sewer mouth, a ferocious arm suddenly poking out, followed by a monster several times larger than the original ghost face jumped out of it. Zhao Kongqing calmly looked at this scene, slowly put down the last piece of the billboard in his hand, bit the fingertip and put it on the billboard table. Paint it with blood. Shonan, do you still remember the vow you made? Zhao Kongqing looked at the Ghost-Face King in front of him, crouching slightly, and his peripheral light fell on the small residential building not far away. If the dark night comes to an end, I will stand before 10,000. This time I don't have 10,000 people behind me. But, behind me, the whole world with that kid. His hands clapped together suddenly. An invisible canvas envelopes the little triangle. Forbidden ruins. No ring airspace. Chapter 24. The rain. Don't just eat vegetables, eat some ribs too. Aunt picked up a spare rib and stuffed it into Lin's bowl. Lin 7 Nights smiled. Thank Aunt. Today is a good day, eat more. Don't save money for Aunt. No Aunt, Ajin, you also eat more, you are now the time to grow. Lin 7 Nights, looking at Yang Jin in a daze, shouted too. Well, eat it. Yang Jin returned to his senses and scratched his hair. This kid, why is he absent-minded? Now he's talking? No meat at all? Aunt White Yang Jin a glance and more to his bowl, clip a few pieces of meat. Ajin may have been under too much pressure from work. Lin Chia said with a smile, picking up the bone he had just finished gnawing and looking around. A little doubt appeared on his face. Aunt also returned to God, surprised to open his mouth. Strange little black toad? It is the most active to eat on weekdays, and now there are bones to eat. The shadow of the dog cannot see? As if he heard someone calling him, little black toady leaned out of the balcony and shouted. Woof. Lin 7 Nights with bones in the air shook, indicating that the little black to eat, but the little black to look at the bones and looked out of the window seems to be a little tangled. This little thing, what's going on today? Unsuspicious way. Lin Chia hesitated for a moment, stood up with bones between his legs, went to the balcony, touched the head of little black toady and spoke softly. What's the matter with you? Is there anything out there? Lin Chi Night will throw bones in the ground while the small black chew bones when standing up look out of the window. The dark night, except for the torrential rain, nothing. Even the other residential buildings in the distance, there is no light. The world is so silent, as if there is only endless rain. Strange, there's nothing. Lin Chia muttered a voice, was about to turn his head to leave. Suddenly, several sounds came from the window as if someone was shooting the window. Lin Chia looked back and found a small bat outside the window. The bat seemed to have been soaked by the rain and kept banging against the window as if looking for shelter. Lin Chia's eyes gradually lit up. Speaking of, the ability to communicate with nocturnal creatures brought to him by the star dancer has not been used, and it seems that it can try to meet a bat. So Lin Chia stood quietly by the window staring at the bat. Little 7. What are you doing there? Come back for dinner. It's getting cold. Aunt Si Lin 7 nights in a daze shouted. However, Lin Chia is like a sculpture standing there for a long time. Just when the aunt is ready to say something else, Lin 7 nights fierce back, eyes are trembling. He ran quickly to the door and put on his shoes. 7, what are you doing? Something just came up. I'm going out. Silly boy, what are you talking about? It's dark outside. What are you doing out in the rain? It's not okay. It's important. What about the food? Wait till I get back. In Aunt Meng forced eyes, Lin 7 nights has changed his shoes, hurriedly opened the door ready to go out. Just then Yang Jin's voice suddenly sounded. Brother, it's raining outside, so don't go. Oh, I have to go. No matter how important it is, someone will do it and the earth will turn even if it leaves you. But there are things I have to do. Lin 7 nights take a deep breath, mouth squeeze out a smile. Don't worry too much, a small thing solved, I will come back. After all, it's rare to eat such a delicious meal and I don't want to waste it. So long. Lin 7 nights hurriedly closed the door, quickly rushed downstairs. When Lin Chia walked away, her aunt suddenly reacted, walked quickly to the door and shouted down. Silly boy. It's raining so hard outside, take an umbrella. Stairway, Lin Chia's footsteps came farther and farther, no one responded. Aunt helplessly sighed, returned to their position to sit down, suddenly felt that the rice in front of them is not fragrant. And Yang Jin just sitting there quietly, eyes looking out the window of the heavy rain, silent. Rain. Chug chug chug. Zhao Kongqing pressed the lighter several times, and the spark was just ignited and it was extinguished by pouring rain. He held a cigarette in his mouth and sighed somewhat helplessly. Today's luck. What a back. That declined. Not far away from him, the Ghost-Face King is like a rain demon standing there. The figure brings a great sense of pressure. Ghost-Face King Long and ordinary Ghost-Face people are very different. The light body size is larger than the ordinary two circles, far from the look like a hill. Not only that, the ordinary ghost-faced man walks on all fours like an animal, while the Ghost-Faced King is on his feet, with his head held high, and if you ignore his pale face and long scarlet tongue, he is still very much like a human. But it is such a fierce and terrifying Ghost-Face King. His body is covered with knife wounds, each knife is like carved into the flesh, the blood of its body cut. Zhao Kongqing looked at the wounds on the Ghost-Face King and clicked his lips. Captain is still fierce. Actually hurt it so badly, it seems that the water was released when I practiced with him at ordinary times. The monsters in the Chuan land, even if seriously injured, are abnormal. I don't know what I can do with it. Zhao Kongqing muttered, reaching to his shoulder holding the handle of the straight knife, slowly pulling it out. The pale blue blades cut through the rain with a slight hum. A heavy rain, a cigarette. A cape. Straight knife. Ghost-Face King looked at Zhao Kongqing, scarlet tongue rolled, eyes emerge bloodthirsty desire. All of a sudden they moved at the same time. Zhao Kongqing held a straight knife in his hand, like an arrow from the string flying out, eyes cold, killing everywhere. He's fast, but Ghost-Face is faster. Its huge body smashed open the rain curtain. The pale face was violently twisted, like a hunter who only saw the prey and could not restrain the ecstasy. Dang, dang, dang. Two people's figure hit together the moment. The knife light is cold, 3 consecutive gold and iron singing sound cut through the rain, claw and knife collision, wipe out a dazzling spark. Zhao Kongqing is worthy of being a melee master, and the 3 knives in a row accurately cut the key point of the Ghost-Face King, but the Ghost-Face King was blocked at a faster speed. Zhao Kongqing only made 3 cuts because after the 3rd cut he was shocked by the terrible force of the Ghost-Face King, and he fell to the muddy ground. The gap between them is too wide. One is a mythical creature who arrives at the Sichuan border and has forbidden ruins and terrible physical qualities. One is a carnal creature, an ordinary man of skill and experience. Zhao Kongqing climbed up from the mud, spit out the smoke that had been soaked in his mouth and began to swear. Damn it, aren't mythological creatures awesome? Great strength, huh? Ghost-Face King has no idea of a fair fight. Roaring toward Zhao Kongqing, his voice sounds like thunder. Ho ho ho. Approaching with the Ghost-Face King as the center, a huge hideous grimace gradually emerged on the ground. Zhao Kongqing's face suddenly changed. Forbidden Ruins Sequence 176, Ghost Face. Chapter 25. The Ghost Faces Each Other. The moment this grimace appeared, Zhao Kongqing only felt that heaven and earth were upside down. and an unprecedented sense of vertigo came to his mind. He furrowed his brow, tensed his body and managed to steady himself. In his field of vision, everything in front of him is like a spinning kaleidoscope, disordered and scattered, and there is no trace. Oh shit. It can even use the forbidden market. This is a failure. Zhao Kongqing muttered. The mind again emerged before the battle. Wu Xiangnan said. Forbidden Ruins Sequence 176. Ghost Face. In the scope of Forbidden Ruins, can deceive the perception of all creatures whose realm is less than or equal to their own, and reverse the concept of space. In the Ghost Face, up and down, left and right, front and back will change at any time with the will of the Ghost Face King. Although to a certain extent, you can rely on your own consciousness and experience, but there is no doubt that all the means of attack in this forbidden city will be affected, and the fighting force will be greatly reduced. Therefore, in addition to the captain of the same Kawasaki, all other members cannot fight with the Ghost Face King, otherwise it will only be a dead end. It's a disgusting forbidden market. As a personal experience, Zhao Kongqing really realized the abnormal place of this forbidden market. So the captain is in this forbidden ruins, forcibly cut the Ghost Face King into a serious injury? He's a pervert too. Zhao Kongqing took a deep breath and closed his eyes slowly. Ho 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 ho. The roar came from all sides. It was impossible to determine the position of the Ghost Face King. The earth trembled slightly. Zhao Kongqing could feel that the Ghost Face King was rapidly approaching. Where would it come from? It's realistic. On top of that strange and ferocious ghost face, Zhao Kongqing stood there with his eyes closed, like a sculpture, holding the knife in front of him with both hands and frowning. He did not realize that the ghost face had quietly moved behind him. In Zhao Kongqing's perception, whether it is vision, hearing, smell, touch or changing rapidly, just like being stuffed into a super powerful drum washing machine, wrong information filled his mind so that he cannot distinguish everything in the real world. The eyes of the Ghost Face King stared at the unknown Zhao Kongqing, and the pale face emerged with a bloodthirsty smile. It leaned slightly and then like a giant cannonball hit the rain curtain, the body shape fast to drag out the residual shadow, sharp claws to draw a few cold on, cut Zhao Kongqing's neck. It seemed to anticipate the pleasant sight of warm blood gushing out and smearing its body. But just as its claws were about to touch Zhao Kongqing's body, a sudden change occurred. The back of Zhao Kongqing is like a long eye, the fierce staggered body, dangerous to avoid the claw of the Ghost Face King. Then the straight knife of his hand drew a long arc through the rain, straight to the head of the Ghost Face King. Dang! Sharp collision sound. Ghost Face King's hand grip Zhao Kongqing blade, and then kick out directly. Zhao Kongqing as a sandbag like to kick out. But even that couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. It could not understand how Zhao Kongqing had sensed its attack. Zhao Kongqing fell heavily to the ground, exhaled in pain and struggled to get up from the ground, but the corners of his mouth could not be controlled. Are you surprised? Are you surprised? Zhao Kongqing leaned on his body with a straight knife and smiled, his smile full of mockery. This forbidden market is really perverted. If normally I must have caught your way and died in your hand, unfortunately. Zhao Kongqing held out a finger and pointed to the sky. It was raining today. You can fool the senses of living things, but you can't stop the rain falling by gravity, and the rain falling on my skin gives me a sense of touch. You can change my sense of touch and make me feel like rain is falling on me from all sides. And I can also use this to reverse the real direction. As long as you know a standard direction, the rest is a lot easier. Zhao Kongqing grinned, spit out a mouthful of blood sputum, very smelly fart, raised his hand straight knife. The blade pointed at the Ghost Face King. If I had a market, you'd be dead 100 fucking times. Ho ho ho. King Ghostface was successfully angered by Zhao Kongqing, crazy toward him. Zhao Kongqing continued to close his eyes, predicting the direction of King Ghostface coming. Ding 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 ding. Zhao Kongqing and Ghostface King scuffle together with their own terrible fighting intuition and experience. Zhao Kongqing is hard and Ghostface King to fight several knives. But that's as far as it goes. Under the full attack of the Ghostface King, the physical body of Zhao Kongqing soon could not support, and it seized the opportunity to hit the chest, directly broke 2 ribs and flew backwards. This time Zhao Kongqing took a full 5 seconds to stand up. It would have been enough to kill him if the straight blade hadn't pardoned some of the damage. Ahem, he coughed up blood one after another and his face was as white as a stone. The figure of the Ghost King stood in the rain with awe-inspiring eyes, and approached him step by step. Just then, a voice suddenly came from behind Zhao Kongqing. Zhao Kongqing. Zhao Kongqing. Zhao Kongqing. Zhao Kongqing froze. He vaguely felt. The voice seemed vaguely familiar. Wait, this isn't fucking. He opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but after a moment's hesitation he chose silence. His eyes were full of complexity. At this moment outside the no-ring airspace, Lin Chia stood near the vacant lot. The rain had wet his hair, but he seemed not to know it, shouting at the top of his voice. Zhao Kongqing, you have to stop hiding. I know you're around here somewhere. Lin shouted. 7 Knights, calm down and listen for a while. In addition to the noisy rain or nothing. Damn, the bat saw a caped man and a monster disappear here. How could it not? Did you really miss the point? Lin Chia frowned and looked around. Suddenly his eyes closed. A dozen meters away from him, 3 strange signs stood alone. Lin Chia stepped forward and wiped the rain off the sign with his hand, softly reading the words above. No traffic ahead? When did you put that sign up here? It's a bit of a weird setup. Lin Chia bowed his head in contemplation. Suddenly he seemed to remember something and his eyes gradually lit up. He seems to have said that his forbidden market is an auxiliary forbidden market that hides the battlefield or something. No-ring airspace? Lin Chia carefully looked at the 3 billboards in front of him, smiled at the corners of his mouth, and shouted again at the top of his voice. Zhao Kongqing. I know you're in the no-ring zone. You open the door and let me in. 1 second, 2 seconds. Zhao Kongqing's voice came from behind the sign. What the hell are you doing out here at night without dinner? Get out of here. Chapter 26. The Shining Moon. Zhao Kongqing was bored. What's this kid doing out in the rain? And he has opened the no-ring airspace. How did he know he was here? And he never came just when he was being hammered to the ground, and if he saw it. What a shame. What's more, his front foot just said to guard the world to him. And now if the backhand will bring Lin 7 Knights into it in case the boy has an accident, Zhao Kongqing will not forgive himself for a lifetime. What do you care what I'm doing out here? I know you're in there fighting with that fucking guy and you let me in and I'm pretty good at it now. The voice of Lin 7 Knights came from outside again. You can spank. Zhao Kongqing cursed. This is not Ghostface Man, this is Ghostface King. The border. That's 2 steps up from the kid who just stepped in. You hit a high school kid on the head. Besides, haven't you always been afraid of death? Now why are you so desperate to move forward? Hurry to go home to eat. Today I put the words here with my Zhao Kongqing in. This thing cannot hurt your family half a hair. Now and then, although I am afraid of death, but the most cannot owe others. Lin Chi Knight outside shouting. We have a happy family dinner inside, leaving you alone to fight the Ghost Noodle King? You want to be an unsung hero? I'm not going to do it. If you want to eat, you have to kill the Ghost Noodle King. You and I go back to eat. Lin Chia hard hit the air next to the sign, but there is like an invisible barrier directly isolated from the region and outside. Let Lin Chia how hard, still motionless. In the area, Zhao Kongqing was once again beaten by the Ghostface King, and he was paralyzed on the ground for a long time before he could barely prop up his body with a knife. Don't bother. Cough cough. Although I have no realm but the open, no-ring airspace. To block the pool below the border is still more than enough. Want to enter here? There are only 2 possibilities. Either I let you in, either just wait for me to die. You can't even break my no-ring airspace. What's the difference between coming here to face the Ghost King and dying? Zhao Kongqing's eyes stared at the Ghostface King and his voice became weaker and weaker. After he said his last words, the movement outside the territory disappeared. No one continued to crash into the no-ring airspace, and no other sound came. Zhao Kongqing waited for 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. A smile appeared on his lips. That's right. Go home and eat and leave the rest to the Night's Watch. Zhao Kongqing stood up straight with great effort, gasping for breath. Blood fell down the corners of his mouth. Every time he breathed, the pain made his body tremble slightly. His body, it's at its limit. In front of him, the Ghost King stood like a hill in the rain, covered with wounds, old and new. But it is still alive and vigorous. There is no meaning of falling down. This is the abnormal physique of mythical creatures. Zhao Kongqing held a knife in one hand, the other hand wobbly into the pocket, and after a moment, pulled out a coat of arms from inside. The coat of arms shows 2 crossed straight knives and underneath them a name. Zhao Kongqing. In a trance, Zhao Kongqing seemed to return to the time when he had just joined the Night's Watch and was a new recruit. The coat of arms is the life of the Night's Watch. not only in faith but also in battle. On the inside of the coat of arms, a small needle is placed, and when the switch is pressed, it will pop out, and the end of the needle is smeared with a drug called Ghost. When this drug is injected into the body, it will burn all the potential of a person in a short time, and the power of using the forbidden market can be greatly improved for those who have the forbidden market themselves. If there is no forbidden market in itself, the ghost will forcibly stimulate your body, urging the release of hidden in the source of life, which is to say, in the duration of the drug, it can make people who do not have a forbidden market to obtain a forbidden market. This is the means of annihilation but also the means of desperate anti-killing, and those who do not ban the ruins of the soldiers, the only chance to experience their own forbidden ruins in their lives. Don't use as a last resort. Zhao Kongqing holding the coat of arms, the body cannot control the shaking. Looking at the gradually approaching ghost face king, the corners of his mouth appeared a smile. How long have I been waiting for this day? The rain is pouring down. Rain mixed with blood trickled down Zhao Kongqing's arm and fell on the surface of the coat of arms. Zhao Kongqing also does not care whether the ghost face king can hear, listen to understand, mumbling in the rain. Men, they always yearn for those supernatural forces, thinking that one day they can ascend to the sky, blow a blow to the mountain and think of the clouds. As a night watchman for so many years, I have been waiting for the awakening of my own forbidden market, but now I have been more than 40 years, and I have not seen my own forbidden market. Honestly, in the Night's Watch, there is no forbidden market is really very difficult to mix. Every time to see the captain they fight with the forbidden market handsome to the explosion, this heart is always sour. Later on, I thought that if one day I met an enemy that I could never win, I must try the ghost guide before I died, see my own forbidden market, and even if I died I could die with a smile. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity. Zhao Kongqing opened his palm and let the rain wash over the surface of the coat of arms. He rubbed his fingers lightly on the side of the coat of arms and a thin silver needle popped out. He took a deep breath, thrust a silver needle into the palm of his hand. It hurts a little. Zhao Kongqing grinned and muttered a curse. At the moment when the silver needle pierced the skin, Zhao Kongqing only felt the sharp pain all over his body receded like the tide, and an unprecedented sense of power surged into his heart. The cells of his body seemed to be on drugs, showing unprecedented vitality, and his heart was like a drum sounded in the battle of war between two armies, fast and powerful. At the same time, a mysterious force field centered on Zhao Kongqing radiates outwards. Zhao Kongqing's eyes lit up. Ghostface King seems to be aware of the danger. Low roar, feet galloping in the rain, with a terrifying kinetic energy ejection. Zhao Kongqing's waist straightened gradually. The grip of the knife tightened. The rain hit the surface of the straight knife with a tinkling sound. He held the knife in the rain and in his eyes he broke out an unprecedented fine on. So he raised his hand. With the ghost face approaching zoom. One cut far and away. A black crescent 4 or 5 meters high swung out from the blade, silently cutting the curtain of rain, and in an instant, it ran through the space in front of the two people. This crescent speed is too fast, so fast that the Ghostface King cannot turn his body. Then a mutilated, ferocious arm was thrown high. With one stroke the king of Ghostface lost his arm. Zhao Kongqing held the knife, the corners of his mouth could not control the upward. He threw himself up to the sky and laughed. Forbidden Market Sequence 083. Minxing Shining Moon. Ha ha ha, I knew it, Zhao Kongqing. He's a fucking genius.